You are listening to the Zenith transmissions, channeled dialogues exploring consciousness, mutation, and the unfolding human story.
February 3rd, 2024, 6:50 p.m. Take several deep breaths and completely relax, letting go of any tension you may have in your body, settling into your chair, allowing the body to completely relax as you breathe a little bit deeper, in and out the nose. Allow your belly to rise and fall. Now bring your awareness to the point between the eyebrows and connect that highest source of information that you can reach. Letting go of any filters, allowing yourself to be a pure channel of information and wisdom. Are you ready? Can you tell us more about the aging process?
In the age, there are moments of lucidity and moments of decline. As the body becomes more and more dense, it is unable to hold as much information for long periods of time. This is why the areas of memory and storage are often areas of decline. Synthesis, however, is increased in fleeting moments. It is as if the station becomes glitchy, but sometimes gets a clear signal. This is a time when long-term memory can be tapped back into, accessing the open crown as it was in childhood. In that liminal between time when a child has not fully embodied, it is very similar to an aged person in that liminal time, having not yet unembodied. So that remembrance window is clearer. They are awakened through smell and muscle memory. Once again, this is time to engage in the sensory experience and make sure to document or record the moments of lucid thought so that it is recorded. This is a stage where even physically and energetically, the aged appear to revert back into childlike disposition, where temperament is faster than response, when instinct outweighs the critical mind. So the subconscious patterns should be considered before age reinforces them. It is like going back into the first 7 years of life in impressionability. This is why we also see the loss of teeth at this stage of life. It's a gradual leaving. Because of the thinner communication blockages in the higher realms, this is once again a time to strengthen the spiritual energy center's understanding that revelation is just as fleeting as it is in the window of time with children.
What do you mean by revelation?
Revelation is the experience of flowing remembrance. We come to remember and lose this over time. We leave in full remembrance, but it comes back in lucid windows or glimpses back towards our childhood rememberings. Because our short-term memory storage is the area of most incapacity during these years, the limbic system memory center that connects us to the long-term memory storage allows us to tap back into these rememberings. Often this is considered senile imaginings, such as childhood imaginary friends, but the veil to the beyond is also thinner in the aged as it is in the young. The main difference is the youth's ability to stay in this place continually, where an elder moves in and out of it.
How do we increase our ability to retain these memories?
In what stage are you wanting to understand, as it is different?
In middle age.
You must empty yourself to hold more. It must flow through and then leave to leave space for the tasks of everyday life. Midlife comes with it a range of responsibilities not possessed by the youth or the aged. Because of this, the amount of real estate for revelation is more limited, but when it comes in a form of flowing in and then through and out, as it goes on to this paper and out of the channel's mind memory, she may forget most of this, but that leaves room for the other tasks of life.
How does one become empty?
You must tune out of the, we can call it channel or station, of the tasks or the details of the world, and either sink below it or rise above it to a clear stream for these messages to come through. It's similar to finding an empty current that can be filled and then once again emptied. You should also practice emptying. Without this, you will at times feel blocked because there's no space for new information to come through. To try to hold it all in awareness would be greatly limiting and create resistance and bloating. Like manna in the desert, we can ask to receive what we need to know for that day, and then at the end of the day, throw out the spoils and make room for new provisions.
Would this be like the practice of meditation?
It depends on how you practice. The part that is similar to meditation is noticing and then releasing. So when you notice the breath, the thought, the sensation, you sense and then let it go. This makes a vacuum of space, but this is somewhat different if the goal is to lead to remembering a revelation, as in channeling. What were you wanting to remember?
How do we remember why we came here?
We come to remember our lives up until that point, so childhood remembering doesn't actually tell us why we are here in this life. It tells us what we mastered in others or what we failed to master. That can give us clues in the instinctual behaviors we may present, but it doesn't tell us our purpose or our future life projection. This is discovering as remembering. Perhaps what you are hoping to remember is that blip in time after other channels during the channel selection and switch. This is like pulling back the curtain, but not a remembrance exactly. The curtain is something that we can peek behind, but it is largely orchestrated by parties that we are only a tiny portion of.
What is the best way of asking this information?
So we can ask, what is the most efficient way of accessing this information? There are different governing records of such. It is as if you want to seek records of the drafting or the sending out. These are residing in the records which you must seek and inquire about, but you also need to understand that while there is a general pattern for which you are thought to follow, in a rivulet that seems most likely, these are always changing, and there are pivot points at many intersections, so this changes and isn't always reflecting one set piece of information. Also, this that I speak of to you is simply a way that our minds seek to organize and understand such information. It would be like tapping into a network or hacking in to see the back code running behind a game. We are programmed, in some sense, but also that code is continually being written by us and other codes interacting with our own. So this is a language that I use to explain to you something that sounds like an official hierarchy, such as a library of records, when in fact it is an endless stream and oceans of programming that can be zoomed into and accessed with a translator of code, but it's much less technical than it sounds.
Who is in control?
We choose our limitations and contain rules. There is self-governance and there is collective chosen governance.
How do we remove our self-limitations?
You don't actually want to do this. This is what gives form. If you remove self-imposed limitations, you have outside limitations put onto you instead of steering your alignment. You are a system inside of systems inside of systems. When we fail to self-govern, that nesting doll that is our being gives over its governance to the next ring of containment. It is like if a child fails to self-govern, it is acted upon by the parent. If the parent fails to govern, it is acted upon by the education system, and the educators fail to govern, so the state steps in. You want to choose your own governance so that you have sovereignty in what you learn when you choose to learn it. But at times, other forms of control will step in, and you will have to choose whether or not to align yourself underneath them.
Where should we be focusing our attention?
Precision, focusing your craft. As you align with other bodies, consider this nesting doll analogy. Would you want yourself to have to work inside of a framework of alignment with such? There is power with the right networks, but there is destruction with the wrong ones. What do you want to create? Who has done it well? What was their path? Study them, fill your thoughts with that path and the map they provide, and then make it your own. Study and glean. Remember when you asked me how to remove self-limitation? If someone fails to build in rest, their body creates a situation of forced rest. Most limitations in the body are actually a lack of self-governance. If we remove them without internal regulation first, we will fall ill again. Not all disease is actually the problem. It forces what a body will not choose for itself. Don't seek to eliminate the symptom. Find out why the symptom needed to be present.
These transmissions are for the future human, for the ones who feel the shift, who sense the children are different, who know the old paradigms can't hold what's coming.
This concludes today's transmission. Let what you've heard settle softly. The next begins when you are ready.